Welcome to round 5 of the Andros Trophy, the penultimate round of the series held in Lens-en-Vercors, just 30 minutes from Grenoble, and again this season treated to perfect weather and glorious ice conditions. Before we get into the action, let's take a look at rear wheel steering which the cars have, and it works based on a mechanical cam. That links the steering at the front and the rear, basically moves the rear wheels in the opposite direction to the front, giving the car greater turn-in alacrity, particularly useful here on this slippery surface. Well, there are a whole lot of different possibilities for the rear cams. The steering angle on one side and how it compares to the steering at the front. 15 different possible positions. We can create more depending on the needs of the track and of the driver. This picture shows exactly what's going on. We check how it works with the data that shows exactly what the car is doing in a lap, with the front steering there, the rear steering there, and all based where the car is on the circuit. All this enables us to refine with the driver the best cam for the track and for his own style and needs, and to make changes if we have to. On the Benezet and Boccalacci car, the system is, as usual, placed in the engine compartment at the back of the car, but there are other possibilities. Their sister car is an older design, and that looks altogether different. To see it, we have to look inside the car. So, everything you'd expect to see is here, steering wheel of course, and the cam is between the front and the rear of the car in this small box. The system works exactly in the same way, so as soon as you turn the steering wheel, the cam moves and regulates the angle and the time when the rear also steers. We're here at Lens-en-Vercors. There are two right-hand hairpins, one at the top, one at the bottom end of the track, and these are absolutely critical in guiding the team to make the right cam setting decisions. Let's take a look at the qualifying heat results from the first day of action in the Elite Pro class. You'll see Jean-Baptiste Dubourg's name right at the top, ahead of Aurélien Panis and Benjamin Rivière, but no sign of Franck Lagorce, one of the championship challengers, crashed out in the qualifying heat. Bad news for him and for his championship challenge. The top 8 go through into the super final, the top 7 into the Super Pole runoffs. Triple reigning champion Jean-Baptiste Dubourg gets his chance to score more points with the Super Pole, but doesn't manage to claim the fastest time. In his single lap time run, he only goes 4th fastest. Nevertheless, having been fastest in the qualifying heats, he scored the maximum points there, and there's still a good chance he'll end up on the podium as well. He's nothing if not a renowned fighter. The team watching on with interest at the end of the lap. Dubourg giving it plenty down at the bottom hairpin, and that's where all that rear steer cam setting really comes into play. And he will have to wait and see who else can beat his time. Let's take a look at Peugeot driver Benjamin Rivière. Now at this stage, provisional pole position held by Nico Prost, one of the electric four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer Andros racers. Racing against the petrol engine cars on a very level footing this season, no doubt about it. So heading down to the split. And 1700s, nearly 1800s behind Nico Prost. The petrol engine cars and the electric cars has very different torque and handling characteristics, are not identical either. So let's see whether the petrol engine car can fire itself up the hill a little more quickly than its electric rival. Well, he finishes a 10th back in 2nd place. Olivier Panis at this stage in third. Time now for his young son Aurélien to have his flying lap. And as you can clearly tell, again, an all-electric vehicle. Audible difference from Riviere, who you were just hearing with the engine bouncing off the rev limiter. Here, it's instant power, instant torque, no rev limiter. And all you can hear is the studs scrabbling through the ice on the cold, snowy night. 1600s up. Electric 1-2 at the moment. And that's a nice smooth line from Aurélien Panis. Didn't get out too wide like Riviere in the loose snow on the exit. And across the line, 1200s ahead. Panis and Prost, the 1-2. And this is the end of qualifying for Vercors. Another of the electric cars damaged the front of the machine pretty badly. Significant damage there, and he was left to rue what might have been. Last weekend's winner has pole position for the Elite Super Final. Dorian Boccolacci ahead of Louis Gervasson, Margot Lafitte and Lionel Daziano on row 2, the Audi's nose to tail. Ahead of Sylvain Poussier and Emmanuel Moinel, Stefan Vontaer and Joel Lopez, and Norwegian World Rallycross driver Andreas Bakkerud, the guest on row 5. Well, Boccolacci in the BMW made short work of both of the finals last weekend. It looks as though he's intent on doing the same. Leaps away from Louis Gervasson in the grey and green Audi. Gets contact from behind. Gervasson gives him a good shunt. Margot Lafitte in third. Fourth place, the second of the Audis, Lionel Daziano, ahead of the Peugeot of Sylvain Poussier. And it looks as though perhaps damage at the front of the Audi of Louis Gervasson because he's dropped back quickly. There is Margot Lafitte, the number 4 machine. Looks like she is closing in. And behind her is Lionel Daziano in the second of the Audis. Already heading into the closing stages, Boccolacci showing all intent to dominate proceedings here as he did a week earlier. Fifth and penultimate round of the series. And a huge mistake by Louis Gervasson. Fortunately, he's well clear of Margot Lafitte. Hangs on to second place at the hairpin. Lafitte has got company from Daziano behind. And they both swing the car around the bottom hairpin. There's Sylvain Poussier, Emmanuel Moinel, Stefan Vontaer, and Joel Lopez next up. Andreas Bakkerud enjoying his one-off outing. Dorian Boccolacci then leading comfortably on the last lap. And Louis Gervasson not really getting to grips with the Audi in these conditions quite as he would have hoped. 20-year-old Boccolacci running away with this one. And with Gervasson spinning, Boccolacci told to preserve his tyres for day 2. They do wear. Particularly the studs pull out and the rubber then has very hard work to do, and the more he can preserve them for day 2, as you can see on this twisty Lens-en-Vercors circuit, then the better he will be. Down into first, dab at the handbrake to get the car sailing round the hairpin, and the uphill climb to the checkered flag. The flag awaits for Dorian Boccolacci. Comfortable win despite 60 kilos of success ballast for winning the last final. His 5th win in a row. Louis Gervasson in second place, and Margot Lafitte will again complete the podium ahead of Lionel Daziano. Well, despite being a rookie, the single-seater ace Dorian Boccolacci has absolutely stamped his authority on this elite class. Success ballast and all, claiming his 5th win of the season. Impressive stuff. Louis Gervasson and Margot Lafitte join him on the podium. Dorian Boccolacci with the perfect score in the super final. First day of action ahead of Louis Gervasson, Margot Lafitte and the rest. Andreas Baccarud didn't last very long, I'm afraid, or at least his car didn't. Dorian Boccolacci, maximum points in qualifying, plus the extra point for fastest lap, plus the win in the final. 62-point day, the perfect score. He is knocking them out of the park at the moment. Dorian Boccolacci now nearly 30 points ahead of his closest rival, Louis Gervasson. Lionel Daziano in the second Audi dropping back, and in fact, on form here, Margot Lafitte may well overhaul him before the end of the weekend. Let's take a look then at the action from the all-electric race. Christophe Ferrier ahead of Vincent Beltoise, row 1. Louis Gervasson and Sacha Prost ahead of Clémentine Lost and Yann Erlaché. Louis Rousset and Kevin Brouet on row 4, and Thierry Bridron on row 5 of the grid. Away they go, and Christophe Ferrier covering off Vincent Beltoise. Louis Gervasson third in the white machine. Sacha Prost in fourth place, but it's all about the top three. Ferrier, Beltoise, Gervasson. There's Sacha Prost holding off Clémentine Lost and touring car racer Yann Erlaché, the nephew of 10-time Trophy Andros champion Yvan Muller, who returns for the super final in the Stade de France. Christophe Ferrier flamboyant, but ahead of Vincent Beltoise nevertheless. Beltoise giving him a tough run for his money, this time exactly as he did last week. But Ferrier with his nose in front. Trouble behind. That's Thierry Bridron. His car has not left the grid, so the trouble behind becomes trouble in front. Vigorously waved yellows. Bridron trying to get the car out of the way. Leaders go through. Midway through the race, Christophe Ferrier leading from Vincent Beltoise by a little over a second. Louis Gervasson in third. Big slide out wide by Ferrier, leaves the door wide open for Beltoise. Beltoise makes contact, he gets through. Ferrier's in the wall. Through two goes Louis Gervasson. And it's going to get worse for Ferrier, because here comes Yann Erlaché in the green machine up from 6th on the grid. He goes through into third position. Again, touring car racer, he's not afraid of a bit of panel bashing. So big changes there. Christophe Ferrier loses the lead. Vincent Beltoise out front. Louis Gervasson in second. And here is our guest driver, Thierry Bridron. Looks like the car has real major issues. And on the last lap, struggling to try and stay out of the way of the leader. Beltoise leads. Checker flag is out. Second win of the season for Vincent Beltoise. Louis Gervasson takes second place. And rookie Yann Erlaché taking third spot ahead of Ferrier, the multiple champion. Opportunism, always one of Yann Erlaché's key strengths. That and a big smile. So Beltoise, Ferrier, Gervasson are the top three in terms of points. And Clémentine Lost, as the top female driver, joins them on the podium as well. Vincent Beltoise scores maximum points as he wins the final from Louis Gervasson, Yann Erlaché, and Christophe Ferrier will be left to rue that mistake that cost him another win. Clémentine Lost just behind him. And Beltoise, second highest point scorer in the qualifying heats, plus win and fastest lap in the final, outscores Christophe Ferrier by a couple of points, and that will all go nicely into the championship pot. Louis Gervasson third, Yann Erlaché, really good run, fourth highest point scorer of the day. Christophe Ferrier still the points leader, and the gap has only come down slightly. Beltoise 31 back. Time for the Elite Pro Super Final. Jean-Baptiste Bourg ahead of Aurélien Panis after the Super Pole runs. Benjamin Rivière and Nico Prost on row 2. And on row 3, Olivier Panis and Eddie Benezet, Audi and BMW. Didier Toral and Nathaniel Berton on row 4 as we get ready to race. Jean-Baptiste Bourg makes a decent start. Aurélien Panis tucked in behind in the yellow Plastic Up electric machine. Then Benjamin Rivière in the Peugeot third. Nico Prost fourth in his all-electric racer. There is the red and white Motul machine. But it is the three-time champion Jean-Baptiste Bourg who has the lead in the Elite Pro Super Final, day one of the Trophy Andros action here in Lens-en-Vercors. Aurélien Panis, Benjamin Rivière and Nico Prost, the battle for second place. Dubourg pulling away. There's Rivière, and then Prost falling into the clutches of Olivier Panis. Dubourg building a lead over Aurélien Panis and Benjamin Rivière. There's Prost, makes a mistake. Through comes Olivier Panis. Bish bosh bash, no question at all. He was always going for that gap. Nico Prost tried to get the door shut. Panis, the older Frenchman, having none of that whatsoever. Didier Toral in sixth position ahead of Eddie Benezet. Benezet dropping to the tail of the field quite quickly. Jean-Baptiste Bourg 2.5 seconds ahead of the now three-way battle for second, because here comes Olivier Panis. Panis hasn't been able to compete in all the weekends, or Olivier hasn't, Aurélien has, due to other business commitments. Olivier Panis, a doughty competitor, really taking to the ice racing on the last few weekends without any question at all, been super competitive. And again, as you see, Benjamin Rivière making a little mistake, and Prost again makes a mistake, losing more ground there to Didier Toral. Leaders are well clear across the line. Nico Prost 4 seconds behind Olivier Panis. Didier Toral giving chase. Jean-Baptiste Bourg ahead of Aurélien Panis, Benjamin Rivière, and Olivier Panis on the inside. Makes contact with the ice wall, but he had a really good run going on the Peugeot. The Audi driver still there, forces his way through at the chicane. And Rivière throwing up the snow and ice on the exit. Olivier Panis attacking hard now. And if you think he's going to be easy on his son, think again. If he gets there, he is absolutely going to make a lunge. Aurélien Panis will know that without a shadow of a doubt as well. He knows how hyper-competitive his father is. After all, he's grown up around him. So Aurélien had better mind his P's and Q's, because Olivier is in hunter-killer mode. Jean-Baptiste Bourg will benefit from this. He's 3 seconds ahead of Panis already. Oh, the Panis battle for second. Aurélien, a little more sideways perhaps. Did he lose ground there? He did to Olivier. The electric car fires itself off the corner superbly. Olivier, you can hear him rattling up and down the gearbox and dancing on the throttle. Much is his way as an old school racing driver. Manual gearboxes and all of that when he was a boy. And in fact, in much of his career. And Aurélien Panis, very used to the paddle shift, and I'm sure he's adapted extremely quickly to the electric car. With his dad behind, this could be really fantastic now. Jean-Baptiste Bourg, 2 seconds clear, and he may well be in preservation mode at the moment because the gap's not growing. Preserving his tyres for day two as Aurélien Panis battles dad Olivier. They are very close on the penultimate lap at the hairpin. Olivier has closed in, but catching and passing may be slightly different things. There's the leader, and here is the Panis family battle for the podium. Aurélien ahead of Olivier still. Jean-Baptiste making no mistakes here, taking no chances. Aurélien again, slow in and out of the hairpin, but it's that traction up the hill. The electric drive just fires him safely away from Olivier. Almost sense the frustration. His father leaning forward against the safety belt straps, urging the car on. Jean-Baptiste Bourg in the world of no pain now. As the Panis' battle, he's opened up his margin a little, and again Olivier very tight on the inside. Can't get the car to rotate and get the power down. He's shunting up and down the gear shift. You can see that the engine takes a moment or two to pick up compared to the electric racer. I'd love to see the two Panises both in identical electric cars. That would be highly entertaining. Last lap, down to the hairpin. No doubting the winner here is there. Jean-Baptiste Bourg from pole position, and Aurélien Panis has got the better of his dad. Jean-Baptiste Bourg wins day one in Lens-en-Vercors in the super final. Applause from the team as Aurélien Panis and Olivier Panis claim second and third. But Jean-Baptiste Bourg claims win number 3. Benjamin Riviere, third in the points, joins Aurélien Panis and Dubourg on the podium. So confirmation of the super final day 1 in the Elite Pro class. Jean-Baptiste Bourg, Boy Panis ahead of Dad Panis. Benjamin Riviere in 4th ahead of Nico Prost, Didier Terrell, Eddie Benezet and Nat Berton. Jean-Baptiste Bourg again capturing the maximum number of points from everybody in the field. Aurélien Panis losing just 2 to him, and Benjamin Riviere just 1 point ahead of Nico Prost. Olivier Panis, for all his Sturm und Drang, 5th in the point scorers for the day, and that missing round has cost him dear. Son Aurélien, though, is still Jean-Baptiste Bourg's closest and only realistic rival for the title. Day 2 Lens-en-Vercors and the Trophy Andros Electric Final gets underway with poleman Vincent Beltoise keeping the lead. And by midway, he has built up a sizable advantage over Christophe Ferrier, Yann-Eric Lachey a long way further back, and Louis Gervasson out of contention for the podium. So Beltoise having to hold off Ferrier, the green car of Yann-Eric Lachey in a podium scoring position again as they get to the final lap. Day 1 winner Beltoise had to capitalise when Christophe Ferrier made a mistake. No mistakes from Vincent though, as he goes through to make it a perfect weekend. Victory on day 2 as well. Christophe Ferrier in 2nd position, Yann-Eric Lachey taking 3rd place. So double winning weekend for Vincent Beltoise. And he's on the top step of the podium. Christophe Ferrier, Yann-Eric Lachey scoring strongly. And again, Clementine Lost joining them on the podium as the top female racer. Vincent Beltoise claiming 12 points for winning the final on the 2nd day of the action ahead of Christophe Ferrier and Yann-Eric Lachey. Ferrier limited the damage slightly by scoring an extra point for the fastest lap. So the gap between them was only a 2-point advantage for Beltoise. That means that Christophe Ferrier still leads the title race with 1 scoring weekend left to go. And despite the fact that everybody has to drop their 2 worst scores, Ferrier is still close to a 5th Electric Series title. Behind him, Beltoise, Gervasson and Rousset giving chase, it would seem, a little in vain, unless Ferrier has major dramas. Day 2 Lens-en-Vercors, and away we go at the start of the Elite Final, and guess who's on pole? Dorian Boccolacci, the poleman making an excellent start. Poussier, Lafitte, Moinel, Gervasson giving chase. Gervasson didn't go well in the qualifying. And Dorian Boccolacci now starting to really get used to this, stamping his authority on the Elite Class Series. Louis Gervasson all over the back of Emmanuel Moinel. Looking back from Dorian Boccolacci, not only has he got a clear view in front, but he throws up the ice and the snow at those behind him, which makes life a little more difficult for them. And despite all the success ballast, 60 kilos at the start of the weekend, winning the first final, so he's still carrying those 60 kilos. Dorian Boccolacci and the BMW M2 are in absolutely flying form. Sylvain Poussier in 2nd from Margot Lafitte. Then Emmanuel Moinel in 4th ahead of Louis Gervasson and Lionel Daziano. The Audis struggling a little. There's Poussier and Lafitte. And Gervasson. And in fact, Lionel Daziano has lost a spot as well. He's dropped behind the 2nd of the Peugeots. 2 laps in. Dorian Boccolacci leading comfortably. It's all about who can upset the apple cart for the minor positions, unless something goes badly wrong with the BMW. He has had problems over the season, largely contact induced. But here now that you can see the sparks as the studs are digging through the ice down to the tarmac below, it's just possible that things could go wrong. Midway through, 3.8 up over Sylvain Poussier, Margot Lafitte, and then Emmanuel Moinel in 4th place. Louis Gervison ahead of Stefan von Tyre. There's Lafitte, there's Gervison ahead of von Tyre, and Lionel Daziano in the red and grey Audi dropped back a spot from the start. Boccolacci in absolutely sparkling form and heading straight to his 6th victory unless something dramatic happens. Putting on a real masterclass for the fans here. Reminds me very much of Ivan Muller in the BMW in his pomp. In a 318 and in a compact. Ivan Muller seems capable of winning in pretty much everything over a number of years and has kindly asked not to darken the door of the Trophy Andros and give everybody else a go for a while. But great to see that he is on the entry list and will hopefully be returning for Stade de France and the spectacular final race weekend. Sylvain Poussier giving chase in the Peugeot and staying away from Margot Lafitte, leaving Lafitte to try and deal with the Renault behind. In fact, she is managing to keep her nose comfortably in front. And the Renault of Emmanuel Moinel in 4th place ahead of Louis Gervison. And Gervison actually looks as though he's closing a little bit on Moinel. Poussier out in 2nd, and then the battle for 3rd on the penultimate lap is starting to build. Margot Lafitte just hanging on to 3rd. And Dorian Boccolacci heading towards the final lap of the super final in the elite class. And again, Lens-en-Vercors producing the sort of pace, consistency and fluid style that has been the mark of his season so far. Last lap, Poussier in 2nd, 9 seconds back, safely clear of Margot Lafitte, Emmanuel Moinel and Louis Gervison. There's Sylvain Poussier in the Peugeot in 2nd. Looks like he's destined for the 2nd step on the podium. But the checkered flag is already unfurled and it is waiting for Dorian Boccolacci, the youngster, the newcomer to Trophy Andros, heading to his 6th consecutive win. And the championship is going to be out of anyone's reach. Dorian Boccolacci, 1 scoring round remaining, is the new Trophy Andros champion in the elite class. Fantastic performances over the last few weekends have really separated him from the rest. Sylvain Poussier in 2nd, Margot Lafitte in 3rd. But Dorian Boccolacci has discovered a new way of enjoying his winter, and that includes winning almost at will. Sylvain Poussier, Margot Lafitte joining him on the podium as the top point scorers of the 2nd day. Dorian Boccolacci winning the super final day 2 here in Lens-en-Vercors, and he claims the elite class title. Sylvain Poussier in 2nd place in the final, and just a 5-point margin between them. All in all, another perfect day for Dorian Boccolacci, and he is the new elite class champion for 2018-2019 with 1 race weekend still to go. Time now to buckle up for a high-speed lap of Lens-en-Vercors in company of other similarly motivated nutcases on the bikes. Start of the final, day 2 in Vercors for the motorcycles, and our championship contenders hit the front fast. Leader is Vivian Gonnet, the number 4 machine, from number 11, Maxime Emery. They're the top 2 in the championship battle. And already establishing themselves at the front. Oh, careful, it's slipping out there, chaps. No harm done, it would seem. Kill switch back in and restart. So Vivian Gonnet easing away. It's a tough track for the bikers here. Trees everywhere. It's tight and twisty. Lots and lots of ruts as well. Gonnet and Emery in second position. Sylvain Dabert in third. Yellow jersey still being worn by Gonnet. He was the points leader coming in here, but Emery claimed victory on day 1 and now has a 5-point lead in the overall table. That is about to be undone. Sylvain Dabert closing in third position. And battles further back in the pack as well. Leader starting to ease away. And Maxime Emery in second place still, but under increasing pressure from Sylvain Dabert. So Vivian Gonnet keeping his nose in front. Oh, and a big lunge deep into the corner from Maxime Emery to try and hold off Sylvain Dabert. They both outbrake themselves there. Leader made a much neater job of the hairpin, but again, look at the way that the bikes are getting thrown around on the ruts. Maxime Emery, number 11, still hanging on to second. Sylvain Dabert all over the back of him. Can't quite get close enough to make it count though. Just a second and a half covering the top 3. These guys are clear of their rivals. They are starting to close on the leader. Maxime Emery has a big lunge again at the hairpin. Vivian Gonnet keeping it nice and neat and tidy on the inside on the way in. And that makes it look like Emery is closing super fast, but he's only half a second back. And Emery now starting to really mount a challenge. He's shaken off Sylvain Dabert to a degree. Not too much though. Dabert is still keeping him honest. And now he's trying to take the leader. Well, Maxime Emery in second place, the biggest of the riders, and uses his body weight a great deal compared to his rivals. Sitting back on the rear wheel to try and help traction. It's him fighting it. And gets right forward over the handlebars under braking to try and give the front wheel more traction. Vivian Gonnet in front in the yellow vest. Emery in the green, number 11. And Sylvain Dabert right there. And again, Dabert lunges late in under braking. Fantastic battle from these 3. Halfway through, and the leaders are still nose to tail. Back markers in front. So how is that going to affect the balance of power? Vivian Gonnet still leading from Maxime Emery and Sylvain Dabert. This is a 3-way race and a big slide from Vivian Gonnet. Just got caught out a little. Emery is very close now. He's well poised to make a move. Down the inside he comes. Block pass on the inside. Maxime Emery takes the lead from Vivian Gonnet. Sylvain Dabert still there in third place. Now, the question is, having got by because of a mistake from the leader, can Maxime Emery get away and get away clean? They are closing fast on the back markers. Emery in very deep and Gonnet goes down. Does he keep the engine running? He does, but he's going to lose second place to Sylvain Dabert. That was a moment for Emery. Dabert in second place. But Vivian Gonnet drops the machine and is now 7 seconds back in third. Leader through traffic. 3 to go after this one. So Maxime Emery now with Sylvain Dabert to worry about. Vivian Gonnet 7 seconds back, and the rest of them nothing to do with his race at all, as long as he keeps himself upright. And starting to go in very deep on the turns now and use those snow banks, the ice banks on the outside, to try and fire themselves out of the hairpin. We saw from Vivian Gonnet that there is not much grip in the middle of the corners. Back markers trying to stay out of the way. Sylvain Dabert now with 3 machines between him and the leader. And that's going to allow Maxime Emery to open up the margin a little. He's in traffic. Dabert trying to carve his way through, but therein lies danger. He just squeezes through. Dabert very determined not to lose ground. There is the leader. Number 11 machine still carving his way through traffic. Dabert is still in touch. 2 to go. Emery by 1.2 from Sylvain Dabert. Fantastic action from the motorcycles. And the back markers may yet play a part. Emery on the inside of the hairpin in the rut finds the traction. Dabert with 2 bikes in front of him now, between himself and the leader. And Maxime Emery, cool, calm, collected. Whether he's feeling it or not, he's certainly riding it, and it looks as though he's managing to pick his way through traffic all right. Dabert again way out wide there, using the momentum around the long way. Final lap. And Dabert was clear enough of the leader that he could see the single digit being held up. And now Emery must give it everything. Sylvain Dabert is still close enough, but goes down. Dabert overcooks it on the final lap. He goes down. He's got the engine running as well. And through, I think, yes, there's the number 4 machine. And that is Sylvain Dabert dropping down to 3rd place. Vivian Gonnet went through. And if Maxime Emery keeps it upright here, he will win this. There is the leader. Takes a look behind. Nobody close. Maxime Emery is going to take his 2nd win in Lens-en-Vercors. Wheelies across the line. And Vivian Gonnet will take 2nd ahead of Sylvain Dabert. So high drama for both the chasers. Maxime Emery on the top step, Vivian Gonnet in the yellow jersey, and Sylvain Dabert 37 on the right in 3rd place. Confirmation of that result. And the Husqvarna 1-2 ahead of Sylvain Dabert on the KTM, after both Vivian Gonnet and Sylvain Dabert went down, I was going to say the road, but obviously I mean the ice. So maximum point score for Maxime Emery, and that, with the total for the day, will put him back into the lead. Sylvain Dabert and Vivian Gonnet both scoring 13 points fewer. So Maxime Emery back out in front by 10 over Vivian Gonnet. And Sylvain Dabert looking now highly unlikely to retain his crown. No points dropped in the motorcycle competition. Let's take a look at the results of the qualifying heats and Super Pole for day 2 in Lens-en-Vercors, the Trophy Andros Elite Pro class, and Olivier Panis coming out on top, bagging all the points, ahead of Benjamin Rivière, Jean-Baptiste Bourg and Franck Lagorce. That should make for an entertaining second day's action. Mouth-watering stuff with Olivier Panis in fine combative form in day 1 already. fastest man in Superpole was Benjamin Riviere in the Peugeot. And take a look at how he did it. Aggressive, fast flowing style. Nice and precise at the first hairpin. Sets it up nicely for a little chicane. 6,500s up halfway through. But it wasn't all plain sailing. Picking up speed down to the bottom hairpin and just over committing. Misses the apex on turn in. Gives away a lot of time in energy in all of that snowbank, and yet 1.4 seconds clear at the line. Great stuff. Super final for the Elite Pro, day 2 in Lens-en-Vercors, penultimate race weekend. Olivier Panis from pole position ahead of Benjamin Riviere. Riviere in the Peugeot, absolutely flying in Superpole, gets a clout from Jean-Baptiste Bourg, who hits the wall and traps Franck Lagorce against the ice. And Lagorce then basically blocking the track. Olivier Panis fighting the Audi through the ruts. Jean-Baptiste not making much of a job of getting by the 2 electric cars of Lagorce and Aurélien Panis. Nico Prost does a slightly better job of observing the yellow flags. Nevertheless, Dubourg making a move on the Peugeot. He goes through. And eventually the race will be red flagged. Not before time, as the 2 electric cars are completely stuck. Repairs on the starting grid. Jean-Baptiste Bourg's steering was damaged. Now, whether that was before he hit the stationary cars or after remains to be seen. Bad weekend gets worse for Franck Lagorce. He can only smile about it with Olivier Panis. He's been dragged away. Aurélien Panis' car will be fixed in time. Great work from the mechanics to get the youngster back in action. And as they restart, there will be only 4 laps, but with the original grid, with the exception of the absent Franck Lagorce. So clear the grid and getting ready to go again. Olivier Panis on pole position from Benjamin Riviere. And Panis will have to do it all again. Indeed, we'll be looking forward to doing it all again. Let's hope they get away cleanly this time. Jean-Baptiste Bourg alone on row 2. There's Aurélien Panis. Away goes Olivier. And immediately Benjamin Riviere dropping in to shut the door on Dubourg. He's in 3rd place. Panis, Riviere, Dubourg. Didier Toral getting into 4th place ahead of the yellow car of Aurélien Panis and Nat Berton. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the hairpin. No dramas there. Nathaniel Berton in the green and grey number 3. Olivier Panis out front, Benjamin Riviere going with him in the Peugeot, looking neat and tidy. Panis hanging the tail out on the little Audi. Well judged stuff. Jean-Baptiste Bourg there in 3rd place, trying to go with them. Then Didier Toral, the white and blue car, ahead of the yellow of Aurélien Panis. Didier Toral ahead of Panis by just a fraction, in the same way that his dad is ahead of Benjamin Riviere by just a fraction. And if push comes to shove, I think push might have to come to shove. Panis drifts out wide, Riviere with a tight line. Here's a chance. Didn't have enough of an overlap. Not against an old warhorse like Olivier Panis. He was never going to give that up. Riviere, though, is looking very racy in the Peugeot. He is all over the back of the Audi of Olivier Panis. Fantastic battle here. Well, Panis has produced some sparkling entertainment. Oh, and the Peugeot driver gets it all wrong. Backed out. I think he thought there was going to be big contact with Olivier Panis. I'm not entirely sure Panis didn't think so either. Well, that's cost Benjamin Riviere all the ground he made up on Olivier Panis, maybe just a little bit more. But again, he closes in immediately. This is absolutely top draw ice racing from the Trophy Andros here in Lens-en-Vercors. Olivier Panis in great form in day one, great form in day two here as well. Day one, he carved his way through the order here. He's trying to stay in front of a resurgent Benjamin Rivière. Shunts down the gears, and it's normally aspirated or petrol engine car versus petrol engine car, internal combustion versus internal combustion. First electric car in fourth place. Sweeping through the forest on this scenic track. Last lap message being given to the drivers. Panis leads from Rivière. And Rivière, oh, Panis hits the snowbank. Rivière can't get through. A chance for Jean-Baptiste Dubourg, and he gets shunted as Panis finds reverse. And Rivière is stuck nose on in the snowbank. The gap closed on Dubourg, but it's Olivier Panis who wrestles his way through into the lead again, having given it away pretty much. Jean-Baptiste Dubourg in second, Aurélien Panis in third. High drama there. Benjamin Rivière was looking to try and win it. Oh, and Aurélien Panis on the inside can't get the drive on Jean-Baptiste Dubourg. Checker flag is out. One of the tightest finishes of the season. Olivier Panis, Jean-Baptiste Dubourg, Aurélien Panis, and then Benjamin Rivière just off the podium. Second win of the season for Olivier Panis. Benjamin Rivière and Jean-Baptiste Dubourg, second and third in the standings. So confirmation of the super final result then on day two. Olivier Panis by 1 second and no thousandths over Jean-Baptiste Dubourg. Aurélien Panis ahead of Benjamin Rivière. And Olivier somehow managed to fumble his way back in front there, having almost given the race away. Outscores Rivière and Dubourg on day two here in Lens-en-Vercors. And as they head to the season's final scoring race in Super Bess, the Elite Pro title is still up for grabs. Jean-Baptiste Dubourg 23 ahead of Aurélien Panis, who needed a better day, but not so much as Franck Lagorce did. Benjamin Rivière now 8 points ahead of Nat Berton, tied with Lagorce for third. Well, that's it from Lens-en-Vercors. We'll see you a week from now for the final scoring round in Super Bess, where the titles will be decided in the 30th season of the Trophée Andros.